So when it comes to Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade, team building is crucial. More importantly, where you place an individual within your team will factor in a lot in terms of on whether or not if you're going to be able to just get away on completing a very difficult mission. It is super important that where you place the character, it's in the place that they need to be. Alright? Because I understand that with most games, some people are going to be like, you know what, I'm putting Gojo on the front line, screw it, we're gonna take them on head on. No, let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's, I mean, technically you could, because it does absorb a lot of damage, but let's play it smart and let's actually furthermore look into it on how you want to go about tackling team building. It's fairly easy, fairly simple, and again, it's just a nice little head start on when global releases, so you guys get a brief idea on how to go about and tackling it. So, in terms of team building, you're going to have your initial 4 characters, and then you're going to have a sub character. So if someone dies, your sub character will then make their way in. When you're doing a story mission or event mission and whatnot, there may be a chance where you can take a friend. So the way that will work is if one of your teammates dies, your sub character comes in. If someone else dies, then the friend character will come in, of course, right? So it just gives you an extra sub character. Now, in terms of how to set your team up, you got the first slot, you got the second slot, you got the third slot, you got the fourth slot, and then you got the sub slot, of course. The first slot will be the closest to the enemy. The fourth slot will be the furthest to the enemy. With the way that I've kind of built my team, as you guys can see, I've got my tank up front, who clearly is going to be tanking, and I've got my support in between my tank and my attacker. And then pretty much all the way in the back, as you guys can see, with the 3 characters remaining, including the sub slot, it's all attackers. Now, if someone dies and Kugisaki does make her way in, let's say on the first slot or the second slot, it's going to be a bit awkward, but we still make it work. So primarily what you want to do is, this is basically how you want to set up your team building. You want to make sure that your attackers on the end, because when you're using your characters, when it's your turn, I'll show you guys gameplays too, so you guys get an idea. But when you're using your characters, the first character will always activate their skill. So to put it like that, let's say I put okay, so let me switch. You guys run, right? So let's say I did Panda's attack, I did a little buff, right, so he can tank more. Then Gojo comes in, I do Gojo's attack, so on and so forth. I get to my final slot, and then I want to apply the buffs onto my team, right? This is going to be such a waste of a turn, because what's going to happen is I'm going to go buff, attack, buff. So the buff that I'll gain and that I can actually use will be applied for the next turn, right? Because I'm going to have to wait a turn. That means the enemy will get a turn off, where I could have maximized it. Whereas if I did it like this, so I'll do the buff, I get the attack buff, and then they will benefit from the attack buff, and then I can do my attack. That is the simplest way I can put it, and that's exactly how you want to go about doing it. Tanks will always take the first row. Now, with Jujutsu Kaisen, your sub slot, you always want to have an additional attacker. Just saying, that's a personal preference, but that's one thing how I've gone about doing it. And even with how my power level is in terms of the attack, it being 28k, I was still able to get through some hard, difficult missions by having that extra attacker come on in when one of my units has dropped. Another way to go about doing team building is you can actually technically run 2 supports. So just to put it in a global perspective on what I'm probably going to be running if I get the chance to, is, where's Nanami? There we go, boom. So support, attack. So in this case that would be, where's Gojo? In this case this would be Kugisaki. There we go. Don't worry about the memories, you can switch them up. With the memories you just have to go off from with what you have. But yeah, you can switch them up quite nicely, so it's not that big of a deal. And then that sub slot, do I have anything? I mean, technically speaking, I could throw Itadori in here. I can also throw, I mean, yeah, I'll probably go for Itadori just to kind of, this is probably going to be a very, very solid team. Actually, you know what, I'll probably switch Kugisaki onto the 4th slot, because Gojo could just absorb a lot more. There we go. So this is pretty much one of the teams that you could run. Again, Nanami not being there, you can resort to running Panda, or do I not have Miwa? I do, yes. So those are going to be your 2 options of tanks, of course. If you want to apply a hindering character, obviously Fushiguro, you could technically put up front, of course, because he does hinder. But as I've mentioned, the AoE hindering character for Global Day 1 is going to be this. So that's kind of how you can kind of switch things up. So tanks will always take the first slot. If you want to run a double support, you can do so quite comfortably. So whatever they do will factor in that with your attacking that's going to be incoming, it will do a lot more damage because you've already set up and you've already activated the supporting characters. And so yeah, they'll come in, your attacking characters will come in and they'll clean up, do the max damage possible during that turn. And yeah, and that's pretty much the way the structure of team building for Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade is ultimately going to how it's going to work, of course. Again, realistically, that sub character, as I've mentioned, it's always been an attacking role character that I would always suggest you kind of throw in there, of course. Even if it means you have to resort to throw in some SRs in here, then you can always go about doing that, of course. So Nanami is a nice little sub DPS, so if you want to throw him in the sub, so that way if he needs to make his way in, if someone drops, because you've got to keep in mind, Gojo does disappear after turn 7, and I know a lot of people are going to be utilizing Gojo. You'll be stupid not to. So that's why having a sub DPS is going to be very, very clutch to have, because ultimately, for the most time, what's going to happen is, you know, people will go further than 7 turns, Gojo will disappear, so whoever that sub character is, you want it to be an attacking character. So in this instance, what's going to happen is obviously we'll just kind of pull everyone to come our way. So as you guys can see, it's always in terms of rotation, you're always going to be doing starting from the first column. So Panda will always start off the turn. Hence why, you know, you always want to make sure that your supporting characters are in place in terms of being at the back. So that way they can maximize to whatever's going on within the front section of the team. So in this case, if I want to do some attacks, if I want to stack up Kurosaki's pins to do some ultimate damage at the end, so that's something that we can cater to. And it's going to be absorbing it all. Fantastic. We drop some attacks. We don't need to activate any of the cards. I'm actually just going to go for... So what I can do is pop this off, give myself a little bit of a boost, and then keep stacking that up. And this is pretty much the idea and how things are going to be. Again, the buff from Gojo just went in first right there, but it's fine. Again, when you're doing the attacks, keep in mind your supporting characters will always go first. So we will just keep doing that. There's nothing more we can do. Just kind of keep stacking that up. I mean, this is an easy fight, but you guys get the idea. There we go, beautiful. Just trying to get some ultimate going, to be fair. Now we are getting hit, but that's fine. That's a-okay. Because actually, technically speaking, what we can do... I'm going to actually wait this one out. Do I want to give... I've got 4 turns, so that's the symbol right there on Gojo. Tells you how many turns you got left. I don't know why I'm thinking so hard about it, because I don't really need to. But yeah, it is what it is. So I'm just going to do this. Gojo's going to Oko them now. We got the break. There we go. We got the guard. Gojo can't be touched. Drop this. And then I don't... okay, yeah, I don't want to activate the ultimate, but from you, do that. Gojo, drop it. There we go, drop it. And this should be a GG. So we got the buff activated. That card being activated gives everyone the buff too, I'm pretty sure. I think I did it correctly. Gojo comes in. Does his damage, beautiful. And then, because I did a combination attack, this is just going to be insult to injury. Combination attack for the 2. It's basically simple as that, boys. So that's why you just want to make sure that the lineup, it is done correctly.